Hello and welcome to the channel. Tonight is a very special episode, or a quite depressing episode. We're going to go through this European Super League. Let's get into it. Yep, super short intro because I want to get straight into this topic. Okay, just in case anyone's been at their head in the sand for the last 24 hours, this European Super League's been announced, where effectively the top six, the so-called top six, have announced that they wish to depart. Effectively, they wanted to depart the European competitions as we know it to set up a European Super League, which would effectively mean that they will focus all their attentions in playing in a league where they cannot be relegated, where effectively the 12 founding clubs, correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, Jack, have we got 12 founding clubs?
Yeah, I think it's 12, isn't it?
Yeah, basically governing themselves, with effectively a view to split those in half, and then effectively a makeup of 10 clubs. So there'll be 12 clubs, and then some that join on qualifications. Bit of a mess, really. And then effectively there'll be a playoff system at the top. Effectively, very much an Americanized structure, where there is no competition, really. In essence, to protect their investment. And I think that's basically what it boils down to is the fact that a lot of these big clubs that haven't been able to successfully qualify for the Champions League lose a lot of money from sponsors when they fail to do exactly that. So effectively, they're looking at a way to protect that investment, to ensure that they're always playing the creme de la creme, as they would call it, football clubs. So we would always have a Real Madrid, Man United, season on season, which is a bit dull of episode in itself, really. But I just want to bring everyone's attention to something in particular. And actually, Jack, me and you did I can't remember if it was a live stream. I think it was a video back then, but it was when Project Big Picture was taking off and everything was going on about that. And we did a bit of an analysis on the revenue that each of the leagues bring in. And it's kind of fascinating to see, really looking back at it again. And I've been able to find a graphic which shows it off. He says, as he's scrolling through here, is this one here. Now have a look at this. Effectively, this shows the amount of revenue that these leagues bring in. And as you can see, NFL is right up there with 13 billion. And the main thing I want to bring out here is the fact that when we had our original debate on the big picture, is we actually, discovered that actually 30-something% of the European revenue comes from the Premier League alone. And actually then looking down the chain and then seeing actually the Bundesliga brings in more revenue than La Liga or Serie A. And I think that's quite an interesting thing to look at, in the sense that if there is a circumstance where some clubs take a stand and make this not happen, it's a case of the English leagues and the German leagues can effectively null and void this straight away. So if they were to step out and if that was a matter of pressure, the rest would fall. Make no mistake about that. So, and then on the flip side of this graphic, you can just look at the fact that the NFL brings in 13 billion, and that's a sport that's only really recognized in America. Yeah, there is a bit of recognition. They play a few games overseas, and it's the sport's gaining popularity. But on the grand scale of it, it is a sport that is only known in the US, and it brings in 13 billion. So imagine these American tycoons looking at this, thinking, "Wait a minute, we've got a brand here that's a sport that's recognized globally. If this European Super League goes ahead, I guarantee you, it won't be a 13 billion number. That'll be a 50 billion number." And that is basically what is driving this. Because if I'm a marketing man or I'm a businessman, I don't care about football one jot. And I look at this, I'm thinking, flipping heck, there's some money to be made here. And that is what's driving it. The revenue that can be brought in from streaming your platform in China or the Far East or the Middle East and stuff like that is big money. But I just wanted to bring your attention to that, because that was something that really stood out to me. in looking at that. So, but Jack, any initial? I mean, I think you've been trawling Twitter throughout the day, haven't you?
Yeah, I've just been sat there reading everybody's reactions because, part of me is like, being a Southampton fan, it's like, how do I feel about it? How will it affect me? And it's like, that's going to be a long-term damage to us,
Yeah.
But in the meantime, it's just this heartbreaking thing of like ditching clubs for franchises, and it's just,
Mm-hmm.
You sit there and think, nobody who's important has been asked about this. The most important people at the club, are the fans.
Mm-hmm.
Players, managers, and you can tell that none of those people have been advised on anything, and it's all just from greedy businessmen.
Yeah.
It's so crazy that the heart and soul of English football is being ripped away by idiots that don't understand it.
I have no care for the game
Don't care
whatsoever.
about it. They don't understand. They don't want to understand it either. They just want to make that money off of it. And even when like you say, when you put up that chart, you look at like where the Premier League stands and the Bundesliga stands.
Yeah.
Like they need us. They need those. They need those teams in there.
Yeah.
And that's why the teams that are in there. Why is Arsenal in there? Why is Spurs in there? Why is City in there? They have no European credit at all, and it's clearly that they're in there because they need to make up the numbers because they understand that our league is the most watched one. So now we've got these teams bullshitting their way in there.
Yeah, absolutely right. And it's it's a fact that we looked at this about 12 months ago with the big picture thing and the amount of revenue that's generated from the Premier League. Make no mistake, Man United is a massive brand globally. There are more Man United fans in the Far East than there are people that live in the United Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
And those people will be prepared to spend a pound watching the game. Let's say that's 60 million quid on watching one game. So the potential to make money here is what's driving this. But on the flip side of it is the fact that our game that is effectively built on anyone can win it, that dream, anyone can win it, is destroyed because if this is to go ahead, effectively what you would then see is players being rested if they're allowed to stay within the Premier League, because that would be something else. They would focus all their attention on those midweek games to be played. But I mean, we're seeing lots of reports going around. There's a meeting going ahead tomorrow with the 14 remaining clubs to discuss exactly what they will decide to do. I mean, or what they can legally do. But there's plenty of things looking at, expulsion from the league, sanctions sort of brought in so that none of the participating players in those, I don't want to call them top six clubs, because there's clubs in there that aren't top six.
Yeah.
The American owned clubs, the fact that their participating players cannot participate in international competition, so you then see a very different looking Euros, World Cup. Would they even exist? I mean, this is how damaging it can be. It's going way down that chain of literally just destroying football as we know and love it. And I just think that perhaps a narrow-minded view of this is, well, you saw the reasons why it's been motivated, is that potential to make obscene amounts of money, which is driving it.
There's a reason that nobody watches pre-season tournaments.
Yeah.
There's still, the tournaments that you see in Asia where it's United versus, some random, nobody cares about those matches when they bring those players together, because they don't mean anything, because there's no history to it. There's no back into it, and there's no way to get into it. There's no, what young player is going to look at that league and be able, it'll seem inaccessible, therefore completely avoiding, people doing it.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't see it, that progression the way up, and the beautiful dream of that is football.
Yeah.
What's the pull in it?
What's the point?
When we get excited to see, Liverpool play Real Madrid, because it only happens once every so often.
Yeah.
And it's high
it's
tension,
special,
and you don't know what's going to happen, and it's an occasion.
Yeah.
If you take away the occasion, you make it every day. Who wants it to be Christmas every day, apart from that nutter that lives in Trowbridge and actually does that? Nobody wants that. And if anybody thinks they do, they're just wrong, and they're sacrificing everything to do it.
Yeah.
Because they will. They're a bit like, I think the UEFA presidents come out today saying, by Friday, Chelsea, City, Madrid will all be out of the Champions League.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's just the start of it.
Yeah. And, these owners of these clubs are ruthless. They're absolutely cutthroat. They're they want to get a deal done. It's all about money. I mean, Gary Neville was on Monday Night Football earlier talking about the infrastructure. Well, literally the structures at Old Trafford. That is a dated stadium. There are no video screens in Old Trafford. It's an old, rusty ground with the surrounding area, which could be opened up to be created into what he described as a Man United world, which has just been left to ruin. The potential for doing stuff in the community is there, and these words that are being put into these statements, which effectively saying, there'll be more money, potential investment for things to trickle. It's like, come on, don't be stupid. You're not going to see any of that.
No, you're not. And even when it comes down to the stat, normal things, like how often has Klopp complained this season of too many games?
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna add another thing into there. So and then just giving up on the history. Well, it makes what he's done at the club already pointless.
Yeah.
So okay, all that stuff you've worked for the past 4 years, that now doesn't matter.
Yeah. Do you know what though? I was listening to Simon Jordan on TalkSport earlier, or one of the clips of, and effectively, he was saying how I just lost my train of thought. What was I going to say? I've lost myself. Then I got distracted by something.
About Simon Jordan on TalkSport.
Anyway, he was saying lots of things really, but no, he was saying it was basically a position piece. So what he thinks is the fact that this is a position marker. So effectively, they're saying this deal, this is what they want, and then they'll discuss, and then they can say, well, or we could do this, and then that seems more reasonable. In essence, do you want to keep your right arm or your left arm? That sort of choice, where they basically sort of put it to the, which I can sort of see a little bit of that. And you say about the congestion of the fixtures, that idea to remove any club participating in European football, remove them from the League Cup.
Yeah.
Maybe you look at where if there's too many fixtures within the Premier League, reduce it by 2 clubs. There are ways of doing it that aren't as detrimental. I mean, when the Premier League started off, there was 24 clubs involved. So that would be even more games going on.
No one's saying there can't be changes to the structure of the league and how football works. We've been saying that, even it comes down to the rules. We've been saying there needs to be changed. There needs to be an overhaul of what's going on. But this is the most, redundant, greedy, robbing way of doing it. Holding everything for ransom.
Yeah,
and they shouldn't. It's that thing of don't negotiate with terrorists. You don't give them anything. They do this. You take it all away.
I was joined another broadcast about this very subject earlier, and they had an American guy on, and I said to him, I said, look, is there any competitive feel to a league competition where there is no threat of relegation? Or is it just like an exhibition preseason game where effectively it's just a showcase sort of setup? And he said, well, it is different because you're playing for bragging rights of who can get in the playoffs more, or who can have the most wins. So he said that there is a bit of a competitive feel, but effectively it's twisted a little bit. But I got the impression it's like no one knows that this sort of league structure unless you know it, right? Yeah. And if you've always been used to the NFL, the NHL, the NBA, all these leagues, and the MLS, Major League Soccer, does a similar thing with the playoff structures. Yes, you can make an exciting competition out of it, but ultimately it's a closed shop. So there's no way that that anyone can win it. That's
Yeah.
the beauty of the structure of English football, is the fact that, okay, maybe Accrington Stanley can go on a massive run, or maybe Leicester can win the Premier League. This is the romantic stories that are basically being ruined for the rest of football's life. Effectively, that's the detriment of it, really.
And it's the arbitrary way they just don't. It's like this amount of time. These have been the big teams, so therefore they should get it. And it's
Right.
just like,
based on their history and brand appeal.
Like, what are Villa going to say at this meeting tomorrow? Like,
yeah.
Have you seen our trophies? There's a few teams there that don't have them.
Yeah.
You know, why Ajax is just going to sit there and just be like, okay, then I guess nobody wanted to call us.
Yeah, that's nuts, really.
But the good thing is the way the Bundesliga have handled it, and the way the Bundesliga is kind of showing everybody up the fact that decisions can't be made without the fans.
Yeah.
And that's the dirty thing, is that it's been done without the fans. And we've all been saying how important football has been this past year. If anything, it's shown us even more how much we need this.
Yep.
And now we're just coming out of it. They've gone, we're gonna take that away. We're gonna start our own thing.
Yeah. Has there been any statements from the German clubs as yet, from any in particular, to basically say no? I mean, I've got a graphic here which basically, let me pull down this banner so you can actually see the majority of this. So effectively, this shows the confirmed clubs. I'm rolling my mouse cursor over this, thinking it's going to show up in the stream, but it's not. So we got Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, Man United, Man City, Spurs, obviously from the English league, and then you've got Atletico, Real Madrid, and Barcelona, Juventus, AC Milan, Inter Milan likely to join. And you got the two German clubs, Bayern Munich and Dortmund. I get the impression Dortmund have said no, and Bayern, I don't think it's said no.
I think they've both said no. I think they, because of the way that league is run with the fans, it is a flat no from both of them.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that PSG said no as well, given what their league is,
I know.
If there was a team that you think they're definitely going to be in it, it's PSG. They're in a league, but I think they understand. They look at the league this season where, is it Lille, Marseille are close to winning it. There's still stuff there, and when you see German football, if anyone watches that Copenhagen documentary in Berlin, it shows you how important football is through the whole class system and what it means, and it's just ripping that away, just ripping it away. And you look at the teams, Madrid and Barcelona. How much money issues? What's their money issues right now? How bankrupt are they?
Yeah,
like it's like you see why they're doing it, because they need money.
Yeah. And the timing, think about it, you're closing in on the end of the season, okay? You've got Liverpool, who are nowhere near the Champions League spots, and this kicks off now. Interesting, that, isn't it?
Yeah, funny that.
Yeah, it's funny how that ties in. But you're absolutely right. I mean, those Spanish clubs are both, Barcelona especially, struggling money-wise. This is a league that doesn't bring in half what the Premier League brings in. So ultimately, those are two very, they bring in the majority of the revenue for that league. So of course they're going to want to thinking, well, we don't want to disperse our funds amongst this league. We want to take control and make sure we don't lose any of the money. We want to keep it for ourselves. Same could be said for those clubs in Italy as well. But as I said before at the beginning of the stream, it's all about the Premier League and the Bundesliga. If those clubs take a stand, this can be stopped. And there's going to be lots of people out there thinking, well, this is all well and good, but what can we actually do to stop this? And this is going to sound pretty controversial, and I want everyone to take a very sensible view of this, is we have to sabotage this. We have to take a stand and make sure that this does not happen, because that is the only way you can write letters to your MP. You can make sure that your voice is absolutely heard in whatever form of process that you take. Obviously, be safe and in all that regard. But, we have to stand up and make a stand for this, because otherwise the game is gone forever.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's on us to show it. We've been away for a while, so I think they've forgotten how loud that we can be.
Yeah.
Especially this United. And the worst thing is, when, like I say, going through Twitter, is to see those fans that are looking forward to the league. Those are the saddest comments to read, because you know what sort of fans they are. Mainly Man City fans. That's not me being mean to a lot of City fans. It is just
Right. Oh, they're looking forward to a European Super League. They're genuinely, seriously.
Because in their mind, it's what does that other stuff matter? They are the casuals that are supporting. It's the, like you say, the foreign market fans,
Mhm.
the people who don't care about what's come before, and they are only attached to it on that that monetary level. They see it the same way that the owners see it. They see it as a big money. They want to see the most expensive players being paid the most in this exclusive league that no one can get into. Like that there are selfish, awful people out there that want that.
Yeah, absolutely. Comment from Nikki. I'm glad you joined. Being from the US, like the MLS format because I'm American and this is how we do all our sports. Yeah. But I love the relegation promotion format. It's better, more exciting. It means more. Anyone who's been on this channel since it started will know exactly what it feels like to survive a relegation. And we've had quite an embrace at St Mary's, haven't we? When we've narrowly beaten Swansea away to basically survive on effectively the penultimate game of the season, and what that can actually mean. I mean, arguably, it's more exciting than getting Champions League position. Is it more exciting than actually winning a league? I don't know. I've never had that experience, but it's another element that makes these games exciting. Is a club going to make Europa League football? Is it going to get Champions League? Is it going to beat relegation? All these things are exciting factors, but to these people that don't know football, they don't know that. But thanks for your comment, Nicky. Really appreciate that. Certainly having a international view of this is always very, very helpful.
When Beckham announced the Inter Miami thing, I was like, I'm going to read about the MLS and just see what it is. And you read the structure. I remember just really going, this sounds awful. What's the point in this? I can't believe you can just buy your way into this.
Right.
That doesn't seem fair. Then you read it, it's like, oh, well, it's a franchise. There aren't any clubs there. There is no.
Right. If it's built from nothing,
where else
are you going to start with?
If these guys, if they understand football enough to know what they've got, if they they could just start their own league. They could the XFL, the Extreme Football League that they had, would just create a league to opposite it. They know nobody will watch it, and it's the history that these clubs have. That's the whole selling point.
Yeah,
but they're just effectively making just all of it redundant.
Yeah, this is purely for tourism. Yeah. This is people buying national monuments and putting them in the same league. That's effectively what they do. It shouldn't be allowed. It should be a definite conflict of interest. There must be some kind of law out there that would restrict a monetization of something like this. Otherwise, there's something very, very wrong.
Well, it's going to be exciting to see, what the government come out of it. Like, it's crazy. Like, when I read a Boris Johnson story, that I'm like, thank God he's doing something. Like, yeah, okay, good.
Right.
He's doing something for me. Like, this is. He could put his whole next, voting platform around this, and it would, probably have to vote for him. So it's, I get a lot of arguments recently with, we talk a lot about the royal family, and people always bring up the point of how much tourism that brings to England, how much it is. That's nothing compared to what the Premier League does.
No,
it's nothing. It's nothing compared to what the Premier League does.
No,
people, there'll be people who don't understand why it is, but football is the jewel in this country. Look at how it shuts down when a World Cup's on, and now none of these players will be able to play in the World Cup because they'll be
taken away.
They'll be banned from that.
Yeah.
And if you think, they're just create another club competition, a World Cup club competition to compete with it, it won't be the same, and they know it because that is history.
Yeah, it won't be big enough.
That'd be like trying to replace the Olympics. What you trying to do? Like, no. The Commonwealth Games tried that and it didn't work.
St. Paris saying, will they have ad breaks and timeouts? To be honest, I wouldn't rule anything out.
Monty Ball.
Yeah, it's all that kind of stuff, and it wouldn't be fair for us to say in any way whatsoever that the Premier League structure is fine as it is, because it's not. There is an obscene amount of wealth at one end and a sparse amount of nothing at another end. I mean, certainly in regards to being a Southampton fan channel here, we know only too well that our budgets are effectively, you got to have 65 grand a week and you can't spend more than 10 million quid on a player. That's our restraints. And then another team will spend 250 million in a single transfer window and have no limitations on the wage structure whatsoever. So there is stuff that needs to be put in place. There is stuff that needs to be regulated that ensure funds get dispersed fairly. I mean, I'm not basically saying that, effectively 50% of Man City's revenue should be dispersed amongst all us smaller clubs, because, it has to be done fairly. I understand that football is a business, but there are ways of doing these things.
Yeah, they're all that you can. You do think about. You look at, like, should Sunderland, the way they spent, get the same amount of help as everybody else? And you're right, there is audits to do. And the thing, like the way the Premier League started, to make more money for the top, for the bigger clubs. And there is a problem with Sky and BT and the way that the games are divvied up, and all that stuff has to be sorted out. Right now, we will have to agree that it's the pure foundations that's going away. And we need Sky and BT and BBC and all those pundits to help us now. But once we get to the other side of it, we do all have to agree, okay, now questions have to be asked about how all this is done.
Yeah.
That
independent regulators that look in and go, nah, you're not doing that.
That's the thing. There needs to be independent regulators. And the fact that this new league is not only won't have an independent, it's the owners of the clubs that run it. If you think you're going to get exciting football from a league run by the Glaziers, you're nuts. Yep. You're off your rocker. You think the dude that runs Arsenal knows how to give you exciting football? He's not.
Yeah.
No.
You can't even do it in the Premier League. Can he?
In the Premier League.
So he's not going to do it in their own league.
No, and if not being funny to, like, I know people have been bantering a lot this weekend. I'm sure the fans are fed up with it, but Arsenal and Spurs. Do you really want to be in that league? Because if you think it's hard now,
that's the criminal joke of it, really. I mean, the clubs I feel really sorry for, especially this season, and I never thought I'd say this, is West Ham and Leicester.
Yeah.
Because, they're both having fantastic, especially West Ham, this time last season, they were down with us in a relegation sort of areas. Well, at least, during part of the season. But those clubs, you got West Ham potentially getting Champions League football, and then all of a sudden this comes out. And it's just absolutely criminal. And what the competitions are going to look like. I mean, we've got a League Cup final on Sunday.
Yeah.
What's going to happen with that?
I don't think that's going ahead.
Surely that can't be played.
Not a chance.
I mean, the other thing about it, what about the FA Cup? What seriously, what do you do with that? Do you now have a situation where you say
you replay the semi-final?
Well, exactly. Well, that's what I'm saying. It's almost a criminal shame that we didn't get battered by Man City in that semi-final, and then it would have been like, oh, that's fine. We'll just expel those two clubs and we can have a Leicester Southampton final. But it seems a little bit. It'd be difficult for Leicester fans to say, like, what, they get a second chance, but it's a final. I'm sure they won't want to receive a trophy via DHL, arriving at the stadium. So there you go, there's a trophy. Well done. They're going to want an event. We played like we did yesterday. It'll be fine. They'll win it quite easily. But yes, so many questions sort of rolling into what if this does generally happen. Do you see that? I mean, with everything that's going on and the backlash of the last 24 hours, is there anything that's telling you this ain't happening?
All of it. The amount of people that are up and... When was the last time you saw this many people united? It's crazy. Like it's left, it's right, it's City fans and United fans. I feel like I could walk around Portsmouth in a Southampton shirt this weekend, and people came up to me, I could just be like, screw the Super League though, right, guys? And we could all be like, yeah. I feel like
let's go get a pint.
That's the mood of it right now. It's like
you're absolutely right. That is the level of anger against this, is the fact that football fans are uniting. I saw a brilliant comment. Someone put, I'm an ex-Man United fan. Can an ex-Liverpool fan let me know which team they're supporting so I can support their rival? Which is brilliant.
Yeah.
It's just that this is not what the game's about. We are here for the competitive nature of the game. So
at the end of the day, the thing that's put me in a nice spot with it is, first of all, as a Southampton fan, like I said, there's not. What's the worst case scenario for Southampton, that the league goes down and we're all playing second rate football? Doesn't matter. There will still be a Southampton.
Yep.
I've spent the last, a year of lockdown really missing non-league. I love my non-league content on YouTube. I love watching that stuff. And just the casualty will be the teams that will, lose, the teams that will lose money from all of this, and there will be major losses everywhere. I mean, for most people, there's 6 losses, already this week. How many United fans do you know that are like, that's my team gone?
Mm-hmm.
That's my team gone. Like, who am I meant to support? Like,
yeah.
As much as you banter them, it's like that. There's a long history.
Yeah,
I've been watching, Mark Goldbridge all day because he's been going off his nut. He's already said he won't be doing United stand next year with the Super League. You just won't be doing. It's like having to give up.
That's these are these people's jobs, and I'll get onto that surely. Just want to say thanks for this, Zandif, with the first ever sponsored chat thing. Thank you so much for the support for the channel. It all helps in all this stuff we get for the students, stuff like that. His comment saying it's clubs leaving the ECA that has worried me, and it's basically the governing bodies that effectively do the European competitions. So is it Ed Woodward that sort of stepped aside from their roles, and all these board members which would normally be involved in the European board level stuff taking a step back. And it's absolutely right. That for me was a sign like they are serious and they are making a huge stand in doing that. So yeah, it's definitely a massive worry.
I think I saw, was it, I think either Bayern Munich or the Dortmund, one of the chief executives already stepped into Woodward's role. Like, they've said no, and they've like taken over.
Really?
Yeah, like he's already stepped in, and that's great. Because as harsh as it sounded, we'll get to a point now where we're just like, they stuff them, they're gone, and we're just.
Yeah.
I'm almost like, it's it's a weird way for us to jump up 6 places. But at the end of the day, that's how I'm going to see it. And if anyone can say, well, you didn't get, you got there. That no one can say to you, well, you only got there because those 6 teams went away. It's like, yeah, but they went away. They gave up on football.
Yeah,
doesn't diminish anything that we've done.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I look at the clubs that remain and think maybe with the omission of those money-owned clubs, I'm not going to call them top 6 and just refuse to do it because there's ones in that aren't there. You look at the addition of the clubs at the top of the Championship at the moment. We're looking at the likes of Norwich, Watford. Okay, it's perhaps lesser known football clubs within there, but I don't hate that. I think if we were looking at something that's more of a competitive structure, but it is a case of a lot of people worry that the fact that the standard is going to drop, and I honestly don't think it will. I think the viewership and the money will drop, but I don't think the quality will drop. It's very easy for us to say as a Southampton channel over the last 4 months, it's hard to see how it could possibly drop. You can't, because it's been awful. So, but the likes of Everton, who have spent hundreds of millions on their squad, Aston Villa spent a lot of money on their squad. I mean, I think Premiership survival for them was probably a goal, and they've massively overachieved. Leeds are finally back in the Premier League after a massive 20-year hiatus outside the top flight. You got Leicester, who basically lived the dream and won the Premier League title, and effectively won the hearts of football fans across the world. I mean, I was in the US actually in a business meeting, and someone actually used Leicester as a sales motivation tool to show live the dream, anything is possible. Go for your, it can happen. It's one of those fantastic romantic stories that wouldn't exist in this new horrific world that they're planning. So
I do think it would be a beautiful bit of poetry that at the end of the season, these 6 teams get kicked out, and the crowning champions of this new Premier League is Leicester, the team that are living proof of why we love football.
right.
Like if they were, if they were to come out at the end of the season top of the league because we've kicked these other teams out, it's like great, yeah. Let us start with Leicester because they are a shining example of what you do. They won the league out of nowhere. They've built well on it, and now they're a great, they're a great side run extremely well by foreign owners.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely.
It's
absolutely.
like, yeah, that's just the way. I think a part of me as well is like I'd hope if the way I see it, the way I'm looking at it now is that next season those 6 teams won't be in our league.
Right.
Whether that's from them being kicked out or whether that's a points deduction, I don't care.
Yeah.
It'll be, or maybe they might somehow go back. But at the same time, I wouldn't mind it if they went. Only if they just lent into it. If they took away VAR, if they just made it, they gave people what they want. Just make it a bit slightly harder game.
Yeah.
Just okay, we're going to make it English football. Let's make it English football. Let's be different to what the garbage that they're going to be doing is, and let's make it.
Yeah. Given what the fans want, and do you know what? I'd be all right if they took away VAR.
Yep.
I think it's a lot of good has happened, but it takes away. It doesn't take away anything apart from adding a ton of confusion to when we're watching these games. But there's already been a huge backlash from fans. I mean, at Ellen Road tonight, there's some images here from Liverpool and Leeds fans sort of showing their disapproval. So stuff is this is also at Anfield, sticking up the banners there. Lots of these football managers, Jurgen Klopp, coming out saying, this isn't the view of the football club. This is the owners of the football club. And it's like, well, come on. It's like it's the football club. Like it doesn't really matter. It just as a whole.
The fact that it's been 24 hours and you've not seen a tweet from what you think. What was it, 12 clubs? What's that? It's almost 300 players when you think of like a 22-man squad. And you haven't heard a thing from any of them.
Mm-hmm.
You've not heard a thing from one of the managers. It speaks volumes. Any other time, something would happen regarding the club and the fans, especially Liverpool. I'm amazed that you haven't heard Henderson say nothing.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of these players are like thinking, well, their heads must be absolutely spinning. Absolutely spinning. To think like, what am I supposed to do here? Like, and those players that aren't in these clubs that are thinking they were trying to, make a move to these clubs. I'm thinking of the likes of Declan Rice, Jack Grealish. What do they do? Do they say, help get me a deal to one of these clubs right now, or do they say, actually, stick me where I am, I'm going to play international football?
I think out of any of them, Grealish would stay.
You reckon?
He's torn to leave Aston Villa anyway, isn't he? Because he loves it so much. And if you're saying not only going to leave, you're going to be leaving to kill football.
Yeah.
He wouldn't ever be able to go home again.
But also,
go to Birmingham, which isn't that bad. But
can you imagine a situation where you remove those clubs and effectively that league in itself? Things I can't see it failing.
I can, absolutely, I can.
But just in terms of like, does it become less special and less appealing, or do those viewers of that league they don't care because it's footballers wearing Man United shirts?
I think
is the brand that big?
I think, mate, they can't fill the Etihad now. How are they going to fill it when half the crowd that don't want to go there, don't want to go there to watch the game?
That's a really good point.
Do you think they're going to be able to fill that with tourists? And they'll be blocking it off. Like, you just can't. The funny thing I keep comparing it to is wrestling, because the amount of times that people try to go up against this other thing, this big, prestigious wrestling thing, that has everything in place, although it's not right, can be fixed. they can try it and it fails
Hmm.
because it doesn't have the lineage, and they try to go too big, and people don't care. Like, have you ever read about the XFL in Vince McMahon's NFL league? It was they were just
Oh yeah. The wrestling American football.
yeah. So it was just it's going to be harder hitting. We're going to take away some of the safety precautions because that's what everybody loves.
Yeah.
It's got I think the offside rule was a bit different, so it's got it's like yeah, okay, that's fun for a game. And you're like, wow, that's nuts, and then no one cares.
Yeah, absolutely.
Playing FIFA with no rules, fun. No one cares. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. That you can set it up any way you want with the franchises and this way, but people will get bored.
Yeah,
it will stop being special, and it will be worn down. I mean, look at the NBA. The NBA runs very similarly, and it's the same function. And you know, and there are teams in that have lineage. It's so goddamn hard to understand it and get into it.
Yeah.
And you get so bored by the like you went to a game. How bored were you at a basketball game? Just how repetitive it was.
Unbelievably bored, and I think that's an excellent example. I went to see New York Knicks, and New York Knicks were in a situation. Actually, let's see where the NBA actually falls. Have we got a graphic down there? There it is. 4.8 billion. So that's a sizable amount of money. And
but when you consider that's got the most heritage of any sport in America. Sorry, no, that's the baseball, isn't it? Baseball have the most.
Well, I got NFL there, National Football League. So,
you know what I mean, like,
but the NBA thing, you know, I went to see a New York Knicks game, and effectively they were in a, you know, when I told people, oh, I'm going to Madison Square Garden to go see a Knicks game, they're like, oh, sorry about that. I was like, what? Are they not the greatest basketball team? It's like, no, they suck at the moment. They're terrible. And I was like, oh, okay. So I was at least expecting a performance, but they just didn't care. It was just the weirdest thing. So we haven't got a chance of getting in the playoffs. We don't care. And it just looked like they were practicing. And it was the most boring, ridiculously expensive experience I've had. It was horrendous.
That is something I've noticed. I've noticed more walkouts at, like, when I've watched basketball games, baseball games. They get to a point they're like, well, we're not going to win this, and they leave because they don't care. It's like, oh, wow, we don't care. Move on to the next one. If we win, we don't. Because it doesn't matter if they lose. It doesn't matter how many times they lose because they ain't going nowhere. They ain't going to move.
In fact, I was mocking all the people walking out after spending like hundreds of dollars on their seats. And in fact, I think I put a video on the channel, so scroll back, you can watch it. And much to the amusement of my guests that I took to the game I was doing, is there a fire drill? Is there a fire? Because literally people just streaming out, and I'm thinking, you spend a ton of cash to sit there. Surely just wait until the end. But it was boring. It was boring.
How much fire is going to be taken out Al Clasico when you know that they're business partners? When you know that they're financially linked to each other. Yeah, it's like every club that's in this league are now the same. They're now all, for me, they're one big club. This league is one big. It is the club is the league. Mm-hmm. Everything, and then the franchises within it. It's all McDonald's. Like, doesn't matter where you are.
How is it fair play? It's absolutely nuts. Absolutely nuts. But
it's again Arsenal Spurs.
Yeah. How would that make an Arsenal fan feel? You know, if you basically business partners with your bitter rivals.
And also, not only that, but Arsenal then have to that Spurs are on their level.
Yeah,
they're not like Spurs haven't even won a Premier League. They've not won a trophy in 7 years.
Yeah, and
because they've had one decent European Cup run since Harry. If Harry Redknapp got you your first European spot, you're not supposed to be in this Super League. Yeah. If Peter Crouch is the one bagging you goals, you're stupid. I mean, it was Liverpool as well at one point, but they didn't win that one.
There are so many questions that brings us up. I mean, sort of St. Paris saying, will Danny sign the contract now? You know, it's like, it's mad. Yeah. You know, like, will there be an FA Cup final? Will there be a League Cup on Sunday? You know, will these clubs go back and, say, we're really sorry, and will there be any sanctions made against them? I want to see, if that happens, I want heavy sanctions. I want to see 25-point reductions and
Absolutely.
massive fines, and I'm talking billion fines. Because
Yeah.
that you have to think of a fine that actually is representable of finances that could have been lost, damages on the brand in general, because this is massively damaging to the Premier League, and just there are so many things that you could look at and say, well, that's not on. So 25-point reduction on this
Yeah.
season, and then start on -15 next season if they're back.
Yeah. And you know what? As a team that has been, deducted points and gone into administration, I can tell you that struggle coming up is just as good as anything.
Mm.
Like coming into the Premiership was just as good as winning the Champions League. In our eyes, I know it's not. I know on paper it's not, but in us, to us it was.
Do you
And
know
that's the
what?
beauty of it.
It is, though. It
It
is
is.
of a club of a certain level. That's what you got. Like there are clubs in the Premier League that are never going to win it,
Yep.
and that is something that is I would love a league in itself where everyone had an opportunity to win it. But do you know what? Leicester survived relegation and won the league the next,
Yep.
and it can happen. Even if I just literally said there are clubs in this league that are never going to win it. Are Burnley ever going to win the Premier League? Are Southampton ever going to win the Premier League? You have to, as long as there's a chance, even if there's a bet on at the beginning of the season, 5,000 to 1, there is still a chance. There's still a bet there.
I tell you what, and here's the other way to look at it, Mike, is if we do get somehow at the end of the season with all this, somehow we end up in a European spot. Never know, that might actually happen now.
Yeah.
The places I want to go still on that. I still want to go play Ajax. I prefer the Bundesliga. We can still go to Paris.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it. Rest of them can do one. Porto said they're not going.
If Porto's got a great stadium. I'd love to go to the Porto Stadium.
Yeah,
it's
if they want to close themselves off, because the remaining teams are so far and wide and have so much going for them, and so much, yeah, it will knock on, and there will be a huge changing periods. But I don't see my club going anywhere.
No.
And I thank the Lord that we didn't get American owners this year.
Yeah. I did see a comment earlier that if Zhao got the opportunity to join this, would he? And I think he would.
Well, of course he would.
Because he doesn't care about football. He just cares about his investment and the fact that that there's a reason why he's got, was it 8 billion or 15 billion in the bank?
Well, here's the thing, Chelsea are only there because they beat, was it Newcastle back in the day, and City are only there because they won a game in front of the right people. Like,
yeah. Now, Man City are there because they've got a name that's like another Manchester club.
That's the one. That's why PSG confuses me, because to me, I see those two clubs as the same.
What, Man City and PSG?
PSG, do you know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, they just spend uber money and they just sweep up, but it doesn't really count because they bought it.
Yeah.
But now I'm looking at PSG going, cool. Did they have more rules? Is that happened? Do the people who own this? Here's the thing, though. I love the idea of Saudi oil men buying the club because they love football and they want to see nuts crazy football.
Yeah,
that's one thing. But those people would stay in the league. They wouldn't be like, oh yeah, let's create our own league. They'd be like, no, I want this. I want to dominate.
Yeah, exactly that. And I think like the likes of the clubs owned by Middle Eastern oil tycoons and stuff like that, there is an element of endless supplies of money. But these clubs that were owned by American business owners who have bought their clubs with borrowed money, because that's what the Glazers did. They've got massive debts and they're losing millions of pounds every season that they don't qualify for a particular stage of the Champions League, or they don't qualify for the Champions League. They lose millions in sponsors, but yet they still behave and have an infrastructure run as if they are winning the league and winning Champions League every season, and they just can't do it.
Yeah.
They can't do it, and they just decided we need to find a way of making this fit. You got Alexis Sanchez. He scored 3 goals for Man United. Was there for how many seasons? He's on 300 and something £1,000 a week.
It's disgusting. I've been thinking. We've been saying for a while. The bubble's got to pop up, sooner or later. And this, it's all sort of coming at once. COVID has sped up so many things. They've made offices redundant.
Yeah.
They've made live performance like nothing's there anymore. And this is just another thing. It's just another thing that's like you don't need fans for football.
No.
Don't need it. Don't need fans for football. And it's our fault for watching it and enjoying it because we need it. We need it.
I know.
And it's I feel United fans I feel bad for because they know they've known the Glazers were bad since day one.
Yeah.
How do you kick out the billionaires that own your club?
Yeah.
How do you fight it? How do you combat that? In the league the way it's set up, there's no way that they can do that.
No.
The only team that I can see that happening for is if Klopp quits in the next few days, because the fans. As long as I guess in the fans' mind, as long as your team's still there and the things that you love are still there, the players, the manager, there's still something going on. But if he goes, they're going to be up in arms. Although I didn't like how upset he was by the training shirts that Leeds provided for them.
Yeah. Well, it's about that. It's about taking a stand, and I think it's going to take that. It's going to take a high-profile manager. We heard earlier today Jose Mourinho getting the sack. There were stories and reports basically saying that he refused to train his players today because of in light of the Tottenham signing into this European Super League. So if that's the case, my appreciation and respect for Jose Mourinho has just gone through the roof, and it's going to take big profile players and managers to say no to this.
Yeah.
But it's just a case of it's a really tricky one when you think these players have a 15-year window, if they're successful, to make as much money as they possibly can. And the lure of saying, do you know what, in your current state of play, you're going to be making 25 million.
Yeah.
Go down this route. You're talking about 300, 400 million.
That's the thing. That's where I think that for me, that's where it bottoms out.
For less football. For me, that's
do they
want to do that? Where
it'll bottom out is that these owners will have to pay these players a substantial amount for them to warrant doing this. They will have to pay them a ridiculous amount. So if you topple that with, the exodus that they have from fans, the drop off that it's going to have, if they think that first broadcast of the first game, okay, it might do amazing numbers overseas in China and those sort of things, but I don't think any of Europe will watch it.
No, and Ed's just put up coming here, boycott, and it's how we do that. It's simply not watching the European Super League. I'm telling you now, it's not going to do anything, because that the streams that they'll get and the revenue that they'll get from international tourists tuning in to watch this will far exceed anything that the UK fan base is going to do. So it's just a case of, if they have fans standing up in stadiums and making huge banners and generally making a nuisance of themselves during these games, and it's going to be an expensive way to do it, but that's what it's going to be. I'm not sure how they're going to be able to do that, but it's in that sense of taking a stand, making a protest, and making sure that this, as they see it at the moment, we're just not rolling over and going yay. But I genuinely feel sorry for the fan base of all those clubs involved, because they've got a really difficult situation on their hands. Effectively disown your club.
Yeah, and that's hard. That's going to be a hard thing for a lot of people to do.
Yeah,
that's an impossible thing to ask. It's the ultimate 50-50, isn't it? It's just listen, to save the thing you love, you might have to give it up.
Yeah. And if you put yourself in a position of an international fan who's, perhaps, who may have grown up in this country and is now an expat working abroad, or they've tuned into the Premier League and assigned themselves to a particular club which they enjoy watching the football of, or, they've seen a few goals on TV and thought, I'm going to support that club, and, and many, many years supporting that club, they're looking in now thinking, this is great, because I'm still going to get the football I love, but instead of watching them play Burnley, I get to see them play massive clubs all the time. So that kind of tourism kind of aspect of the game, which let's face it, there is.
It's also like, how long can you keep that up? How long can you get young players to come through that system? How do you convince the next generation of like, okay, listen, you can come here, train for us, but if you don't make it here, you can never play football. Look at the NFL and how bad college football is.
Yeah.
How many of those players don't make it, and then just nothing. You know, being a football player in America is a dream until you leave college. Whereas in England, being a football player, there's so many levels you can do it at. It's a profession here.
Yeah.
It's not just a dream, it's a profession here.
It's a profession, but you can
go all the way.
Exactly. Like I'm thinking of
the ultimate pyramid scheme.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking of like Ollie Watkins, Jamie Vardy, all these players that have built their way up through these lower league sides and are winning championships and scoring against the champions. It's just to have that removed. Yeah. It's heartbreaking. But we just got to make sure that we do absolutely all we can to protest against this, and generally make sure that all the governing bodies, everyone involved, with your club, with your local MP, with whoever it is, the sports minister, the Boris Johnson getting involved. You just have to make sure that these things go through and stop this, because this is football as we know it dead, and it's heartbreaking.
There's got to be, especially when it comes down to the government. There's so much. The Premier League is so important to this country.
Yeah.
Like, anytime you see, anytime this country's represented, when you see it's football, it's football. And if you think that they're going to give up on that, the only time that government officials ever seem like they try. It's either they try to pretend they're into music or they pretend they're into football. If you take that away from them, they've got no platform to start. They've got no way to communicate to you. So they know that that's important.
Yep.
They know that like if we're going to get these idiots to shut up, we need to sort this.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. And it boils down to the the graphic that I showed at the beginning of the stream. It's this one right here. Where effectively, you've got, sorry, me send this comment for a moment there, and this banner here. Let's get this one out of the way so you can actually see it. These clubs in the Premier League, it's a massive part of the revenue stream for European football. So, we take a stand in the German league and the English league, and this falls on its face, quite frankly. You can't run a league with La Liga and Serie A teams.
Yeah. I also hope with the power of the internet right now, mate, we got the Snyder Cut. If we can get the Snyder Cut, we can get rid of this. Like, just everyone gets mad that we can stop this.
Yeah.
And even if it happens, just ridicule it. Just keep ridiculing it. Don't let up on how stupid it is.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you make it uncool and if you make it as stupid as it is, people will flock. People will go away, but people won't go near it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But no doubt this subject will carry on and carry on and carry on. We obviously have a game on Wednesday night against
Spurs. Great Spurs. Time to play them. Great time. Kane's out injured. Jose's gone.
Yeah. But I honestly don't know what we're going to face, because it's almost like they might just decide that they don't care and play a reserve team, because it doesn't really matter for them anymore. They might try and show up and sort of, terribly sorry about this, but it's not the club, it's the owners of the club. Shut up. I go as far to say that I hope Southampton make a big protest on the pitch.
Not a dirty one.
Yes.
What protest do you want to see on the pitch?
A dirty one right across the halfway line. No, I just want to, like Leeds have done tonight with the T-shirts.
Yeah.
Something that basically says, screw you.
Absolutely. I think,
And actually, international viewers of the Premier League have to see our disapproval to get an inclination of, oh, they don't like this. This isn't good. This is a bad thing. This is going to change the infrastructure of the football, and it won't be what I've tuned in and what I like. So it's almost down to every single club playing one of these money top 6 clubs to basically make it really awkward and difficult for their, for their viewers watching, just so it's clearly obvious that what is afoot is not good.
What we need is a WikiLeaks style just evidence clause on some of those owners. Come on, there's got to be dirt on them out there somewhere. Someone's got to drop the bomb.
I'm sure there's plenty of dirt on them out there. But
although Abramovich is involved, so it also scares me a little bit.
Yeah, especially being from the town we are from.
Yes.
Enough said on that.
They're wanted again, by the way. Those two dudes are on the run in check, apparently.
Really?
Yeah, it's all kicking off.
I thought they were.
That's what they thought, and apparently they're in check somewhere. Wanted by police. These people don't care about that.
No, they don't. A sinister conspiracy theory. No, it's just fact.
Yeah.
There we go. Here we go. Saints apparently will be wearing the same t-shirts wore tonight, please. Good. It's a start.
You know what? The other harsh end of this, the bit that we know, probably not a lot of people want to admit right now, but if this happens, I hope we take full advantage of it.
Mm-hmm.
If this happens, I hope we get, a Champions League with them in it. I don't care because, whatever. A Champions League to me will still be European football. I'm happy for Europa. So if we somehow end up in that position, I don't care. I really don't care. Of those teams that leave, would that really alter what's in the Europa League? Not really.
No, it wouldn't. No. It wouldn't.
And would it really alter the Champions League? Obviously the Champions League's new way of doing things. That's a whole other story. This new league that they're going to have. That's another thing that needs to be sorted out. But I don't care. Still that trophy. That's the thing that's got heritage.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing that we're lifting is the thing that you want.
Yep. Yeah. If they don't want to be involved.
Yep.
So what?
That's fine.
So what?
You want to give up on that? That's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Is there a Leeds banner on the pitch that says earn it?
But that's the funny thing is though, how are they going to sell this? When it comes in, imagine if you're trying to support and you're coming into this now and you want to support a club, and you're like, oh, who should I support? Well, Liverpool have won the Champions League this many times, but that doesn't matter because they've given up on it and they all agree that that's not a thing. So it's like, oh, so they're all on level par of blankness then. The slate is wiped clean.
Mm.
Enjoy that. Such sanitized fan base that have no idea what's going on. That's how the club, all the clubs will have to sell what their history on. All that stuff still happens. We just chose not to be a part of it anymore. So what's the point then?
What is the point? Yeah, that's really difficult to see, but I just think it's going to take the rest of the 14 clubs in the league they're obviously having a meeting tomorrow. They're going to be discussing it to see what they can do, and I think it's going to take some high profile players and managers to resign.
Yeah.
At least show threat of intent, because there's got to be. I get the lure of hundreds of millions of pounds, that they could eventually earn. But when they retire, how depressing would it be to be not welcome on a football show because of the path that you took?
Yeah.
And the fact that
all of famers are gone.
And you're never going to have your statue outside the stadium.
Yeah. Harry Kane will never beat Shearer's record.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. Break records where you'll be able to break them every season because they won't exist.
Yeah, exactly.
Who cares? As someone who doesn't care about Pele's records because there's no offsides, I'm sure as hell not going to care about who scores the most goals in the Super League. I don't care about fighters who are on steroids. I don't care.
No.
Sorry.
Absolutely not. But oh dear. Well,
imagine if there was just a mass exodus of players and suddenly we all get crazy cool players.
Yeah. God, yeah, I could see some kind of reaction to this, which would see like well, it all just depends on what they want to do, really.
Because
So
that's the other crazy thing. You think of Saudi Mane, this really, everyone knows him to be this really wholesome dude who football's changed his life. Those
mhm.
players are still there, and now you have to say, right now you have to take that away from everybody down there. No
Yeah,
one can do what you've done now.
yeah,
It's like no.
no,
It's
it's
going to be.
absolutely
I think it's
disgraceful.
going to show the real sign of some of the players that agree to do it.
Hmm. Yeah, very, very true. Very, very true. Well, I think we could probably talk on this. I'm just looked at the clock and realised we've been chatting for an hour.
Wow,
We didn't plan that.
we got hot. We're getting heated.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, no doubt this topic will roll on. We may sort of jump on as things progress and more things come to light. Because, as I said earlier, there's lots of things coming up. You've got the FA Cup final, which is Leicester versus one of these clubs, which is choosing to leave. We got the League Cup final, which, I personally think can't happen between two of the clubs. Tottenham and Man City on Sunday, probably not going to happen. And what's going to happen in terms of the actions taken on the clubs that are deciding to do this? Will they have points deduction? Will they have effectively been removed from the league completely? Which then is great news for Sheffield United. You've not been relegated now, so it's going to be a wacky one. And the fact that down in the Championship, they're going to be turning to you didn't make the playoffs. You're going straight into the league. It's like, wow, okay, cool.
This
so
could be
so many things.
the best thing to happen to English punditry ever, because there'll be no more bias in the studio.
Well, no, we'll still be quite biased.
I mean, obviously, but we're not employed by Sky.
No.
Although,
get in touch. Email address in the description.
For sure. We'll be there, guys. We'll be there.
Look, if I can't beat Danny Murphy.
But yeah, actually, can we actually no? Right now, let's stop that, because Danny Murphy was really great on Match of the Day last night.
He was. But has any football pundit come out and says, no, I actually think it's a really good idea?
No, but we have to stand in solidarity with them until this
we
is
do.
all done.
What, even with Danny Murphy?
Yeah, we'll just let him slide. Mate, I just said earlier on, I said I'd have a beer with a Portsmouth fan, so we're on the same side.
Okay.
Here's something to cheer you up. Danny Ings definitely won't leave us this summer, because what are you meant to do when you've aged out of those teams?
Yeah.
What happens when a season goes and he's injured and he can't play anymore, and he could quite easily play for any other league side, but he can't because he's banned from everywhere.
Wow, yeah.
And that goes for a lot of players.
That does. Can you imagine being one of those players at one of those clubs who effectively spends their life on the bench now?
Yeah.
And is now going to be playing for a club that plays half the amount of games that they will be. It's like, see ya. See ya. Can I talk about my contract? I'm done. It's like, I don't want this.
Or the other way they go is they will keep re-signing that contract, because taken from all their worth. It'll get to a point where a club will have all these Alexis Sanchez sat on the benches not playing, all these Bales collecting money, because they're like, well, I can't go play anywhere else, and I can extend my contract here to sit on the bench. So why wouldn't I?
Yeah, I mean, Dion Dublin on Matchday, I saw that clip of basically it's not all about money, and
no, it's not.
And that there must be a certain side to a footballer's mind that thinks like, I just want to play football. I just want to play football at the highest level, but with the adoration of fans. And that has to be. I mean, can you imagine them playing in a stadium where effectively it's if you just per se guys in the stands with cameras on? I think that's us. That's us.
Hey, yeah, but our cameras are pointed at us though, so it's fine.
Yeah, exactly. So we're not there going. Oh,
we give them the content that they want.
Exactly. That's my point. But effectively go, oh, fantastic, great goal. Is that a goal? Oh, very good. Very good.
Top stuff.
Yeah.
Oh.
So many questions.
It's hard, and it's only just begun. Who knows? Give it a few weeks. You might just start going, well, that was crazy, wasn't it? Imagine if that happened.
Yeah.
But I mean, those teams should still be deducted and kicked out of the league. Let's not.
Yeah. So, something has to happen because that is a very serious breach of of the integrity of the league. They basically just, effectively have not behaved appropriately and should be punished accordingly.
Absolutely.
Why are Liverpool winning? Come on, Lee.
I have noticed that Lee's a proper bout with a few of them, though. They're proper putting studs and kicks in.
Get into them.
But obviously they're winning, mate. They're a super club. They're a European super club.
Look at the money falling out of their pockets.
They got absolutely hammered by a team that has won more European Cups than half of the English teams going there. Just saying.
Yeah. And Fulham yesterday nearly had a 1-0 win at a big club.
This is the equivalent of putting Jake Paul in the Boxing Hall of Fame because he's the most recent thing. Oh yeah, he's one of the biggest boxing matches this year, Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
He's ranked top 10 now because of the amount of money that he made on that boxing match. That's just official. In the world of franchising sports, I mean, he's not. But
oh, okay, sorry.
In the world of franchising sports, I mean, that's definitely
how
they would see it.
Yeah, he can call out McGregor and Mayweather now, can't he?
Yeah, only because nobody else can name any other actual boxers that are boxing. I don't know any of them. Right.
Rock and roll. Well, thanks to everyone who's joined us in the chat. So thanks also to all those who did a little super chat. That's very nice. Thank you very much. Support for the channel is always greatly appreciated.
I'm gonna get my Twix.
Yeah, Jack's gonna get his Twix. It's your contract's weird, man. All those little Twix and bowl of brown M&Ms.
And contractually, I'm obliged to do this every episode now. He's a liar.
Yeah, it's true. I had to get that in there. It's that's money, man. That's pure coin.
If we can just get the itch and stand doing that, that'd be the best thing ever. But just the once, every so often throughout the match.
Oh, what's the number on the back of Stuart Armstrong's shirt? Is he 17? Yeah. 17. So in the 17th minute, all in unison.
He's a lawyer. He's a lawyer.
Oh man, do you know what? Live stream Wednesday night, 17th minute. It's happening.
Yeah, we'll be posting it on all the socials. If you can all get it, sharing, because it'd be the silliest thing to have when we come back. He's a liar.
That'd be amazing. His hair is fine. What's the 17th minute? He's a liar.
He's a liar.
Oh, that's spooky. We've got 17 people on the stream at this exact moment.
He's a liar.
That's what I mean. Wow, that'd be mad.
I love the thought of no one in this house can really hear what I'm doing, but every so often I'm just going to be shouting, "He's a lawyer." Like, what are you doing in there? This news has really broken him.
Yeah, it's twisted our minds. It's our heads are surely spinning right now. This is a crazy time to be a football fan. But there we go. Either way, I don't want to see the European competitions change though in all of this. I know they're looking at restructuring it and all, but I just that Ajax versus Spurs game, that Liverpool Barcelona game, the countless times of those crazy, winning on away goals and the excitement of it. But how many times this season? In fact, did I put up an image? I didn't, but someone put up a graphic on Twitter and effectively it showed all the top 6 playing each other this season. It's been 0-0. It's been rubbish.
How often is that the case, though? Imagine how disappointed these super fans are going to be if oh, wow, most of the games are 0-0 because it's actually very boring when these clubs play against each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. When was the last time you saw a decent, Chelsea Spurs match or Chelsea Arsenal match? These don't happen.
0-0. Dull fest. Absolute dull fest. But you go to a playoff structure, you got maybe 4 or 5 clubs on each side of that structure going into the playoff sections who have no chance of getting in the playoffs, and they're playing each other for nothing. There's no fear of dropping out. There's
But
no fear of.
Isn't it also like even if you finish first in the league, you still have to go to a quarterfinal and a semi-final and a final. So you could win the league, beat every team, and then go out in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Why would you want to watch that?
You don't want to watch it. Don't want to watch it. I don't want it.
With this big rebuild, Ralph wants in the summer. There's a good chance we'll win the league next year. So.
Yep. Absolutely. Same one I thought.
In Europa.
Liverpool Man United is always 0-0. Sky hype it up so hard. They do.
Yeah, but you wait to see how they hype. West Ham Leicester.
And it's live. Absolutely. Well, I think I'll end it with Lou's comment here. We'll win the league next year. Calling it now.
Yes, we will.
How about that?
Yeah, but I would have said that even if you asked me 2 weeks ago.
I still think it's possible this year. Is it mathematically possible?
It must be because City are
7 games remaining. Can we get up to the heights of West Ham and Leicester? No, Champions League is still on.
We can live in hope.
We can indeed. But as always, thanks to everyone who's joined us on this massive episode. Like I said, we will be doing the live stream on the Wednesday night game. I don't think any of us got time for a preview between now and then because we've been talking about this. We got nothing to say on Spurs anyway. Apart from we hate Tottenham. That was it. That's all I have for the Spurs preview. So I've covered it there. But we will be doing the live watch along and the post-match stuff. This topic of the European Super League will be going on for at least a few days with so many things happening. So I'm sure we'll be jumping on this topic again as things progress. But thanks to everyone who's joined us on the chat section. It's been fun. And remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And we will see you in the next one. All right.
Ta.
See ya.